Welcome back to the Foundry by Forge College. Today, we're diving into our explainer on integration, reflection, and next steps for ERC-4337. So we're putting on our senior engineer hats, the ones that come with a healthy dose of existential dread about production deployments. In our previous lesson, implementing ERC-4337 hooks in smart wallets, we really got our hands dirty. We mapped the entry point, we wired up those signature verification hooks, and it was a blast, right? But today, we're zooming out. We need to figure out how to take that functional prototype and actually prep it for the absolute wild west of the mainnet. Now, there's a saying I think about a lot. A prototype is just production code waiting to break. And honestly, it's painfully true. Look, it's incredibly satisfying that you got the payload assembly working and your tests are green. That's a huge win. But let's have a quick reality check here. There is a massive danger in taking that fragile, hey, it works on my machine code and just shipping it straight to production. A prototype just proves a concept, right? Production code actually has to survive the wild. So our goal today is to bridge that gap. We want to make sure your smart wallet integration isn't just a house of cards waiting for a strong breeze. To get us there, here's our engineering blueprint for the day. First, the prototype reality check. Second, unpacking the payload. Third, fast gates versus slow tests. Fourth, polishing the interface. And finally, drafting your backlog. Let's jump right in. Starting off with part 1, the prototype. Reality check. From hack to architecture. Right now, you've got these foundational artifacts sitting in your repo. You've got unit tests, your passing hook implementations, and this kind of rough interface. But now, we've got to deliberately synthesize them. We need to look at every single line of code and ask ourselves, was this an intentional architectural decision, or was it just some duct tape hack I threw in for speed? Because those hacks, they are brittle risks. We've got to document them right now before they morph into permanent technical debt that comes back to bite us. Moving on to step 2, unpacking the payload, the user operation blueprint. Okay, so the user operation, that is literally the beating heart of ERC-4337. You've got the sender, the nonce, the call data, all your gas limits, and of course, the signature. But let's be real, during the prototyping phase, you definitely took some shortcuts. I mean, you probably just used fixed hex strings for those gas limits, right? Maybe you slapped a 0x5208 in there just to force the transaction to go through. And hey, in a prototype, totally fine. But in production, that is a massive liability. Which brings us to a really critical question. When you hard-coded those strings, were you being super conservative just to ensure the transaction wouldn't fail? Or were you being minimal to save on gas costs? You actually need to record the rationale for those constants right now. Without that context, those numbers just turn into magic strings. And trust me, future developers will be absolutely terrified to touch them. All right, let's look at section 3, fast gates versus slow tests, the assembly line. Here, we need to establish what we call verification checkpoints. Think of these as deterministic test gates. Basically, every single place where you threw an error in your validation script during the prototype phase, that now needs to become a formalized checkpoint. For example, if a nonce isn't a valid hex string, boom, that should trigger an immediate failure in your CI pipeline. We want to catch these development mistakes early before they cascade into bigger issues. So the secret sauce here is separating your fast, idempotent sanity checks from those slow, expensive cryptographic tests. Fast CI gates are checking the format, doing quick gas sanity checks, and making sure the signature field isn't just empty, they're instantaneous. But full cryptographic verification, simulating the node, those take serious time. If you mix them all together in one bucket, you've just built yourself a massive development bottleneck. To solve this, you want to allocate those quick gates to your pre-merge CI. I mean, we've all been there. There is literally nothing worse than waiting 45 minutes for a CI pipeline to fail because you missed a comma, right? Keep those fast checks side effect free and push all the heavy lifting, the intense node simulations, to your nightly runs. That gives you blazing fast day-to-day development with zero sacrifice security. It's the best of both worlds. Next up, section 4, polishing the interface, predictable API contracts. Look, if other developers are going to build on top of your work, your interface needs to be as predictable as a well-oiled machine. You can't have them guessing. We need an explicit prepare UserOp method, an explicit sign UserOp method. You need deterministic gas estimation hooks, and a very clearly documented format for that paymasterAndData field. We have to completely remove the guesswork for the next person. And here's a senior-level pro tip for you. Write a compatibility note. Explain exactly how the existing code is going to need to adapt to these new API changes. Clear compatibility notes are absolutely the best way to ensure integrators know how to interact safely with your systems. Honestly, doing this shows immense maturity in your engineering process. And finally, Section 5, drafting your backlog, the master plan. We're going to use a 4-step workflow to systematically convert your messy prototype notes into a rock-solid, testable master plan. First, you audit your prototype choices. Second, define those verification checkpoints we talked about. Third, iterate on the interface and API contracts. And fourth, assign a prioritized backlog with actual owners. Your backlog blueprint should map out exactly like this, assigning specific owners to specific tasks. But pay close attention to the acceptance criteria here. We are not just writing, make sure CI passes. No way. That is dangerously vague. Instead, we write exact test assertions, like pre-merge gate blocks malformed payloads. Concrete criteria like that will absolutely kill scope creep dead in its tracks. Now, before you totally wrap up this phase, you need to export at least 2 canonical user operation fixtures. You'll want one for a simple call and one for a complex call that actually utilizes a paymaster. Keeping your artifacts small, executable, and heavily testable is really the only reliable way to scale a project from a quick, hacky prototype to a massive integration. And you'll definitely want to bring these fixtures to our next lesson. So, I'll leave you with this final, slightly provocative thought. Is your prototype actually ready for the real world, or is it literally just waiting to break? Take this prioritized backlog, go build those CI gates, and document your interfaces. When you're ready to master the rest of this implementation, be sure to visit forge.college to dive deeper into this and tons of other Web3 topics. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you in the next one.